Hi boys and girls. I'm so excited to paint with you today. We are going to use watercolor paints today. If you don't have watercolor paint, you can absolutely do a drawing to go along with what we're going to learn about today. And for our work of art with our watercolor paint, we'll need some paintbrushes, okay? And just even one decent sized paintbrush would be fine. You don't want a little tiny paintbrush today. You want to have a nice good sized paintbrush because we're going to be learning a special watercolor technique. You'll also need some crayons, okay? I highly recommend you get white. You need a white crayon today. And I also picked a blue crayon and a black crayon. You don't need tons of crayons, but you could use them all. It doesn't really matter. So for this, we're going to be making a picture about weather. Let's think about weather. The weather here in spring is kind of wild and crazy. One day it's 60 degrees like today. And then one day it's raining and freezing out and the wind is whipping. And we even had some snow already this spring. So we've also had days warm enough to wear a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. And I know you probably went outside that day, okay? So think about weather. It's one of those things that makes Mother Nature curious and interesting, sometimes even a little scary when a thunderstorm runs through and kind of surprises us. So I think I'm inspired by the springtime, and spring is beautiful, but there's so much rain. It rains so much in the spring where we live because it grows those flowers that are waiting in that soil. And they've waited all winter and they need that rain and that sunshine to help them pop up through the ground. So with our crayons first, let's draw a sketch of what we want our weather to be. I also have some water here because I need water with my watercolor paint. Don't forget your water, okay? And moms, dads, anyone who is worried about, you know, how messy is this art project? Well, don't worry. This is not super messy. Watercolor paints are not super messy. And if you don't have any, remember, we can make weather artwork without paint, okay? It's really fun to use watercolor, though, if you have any. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is draw a very important line in my picture. Where does weather happen? Outside. Weather happens outside. Yes, we can watch it through a window, but let's think like we were outside watching the weather, whatever it was, okay? Safely, of course. So I'm going to draw something called a horizon line, and a horizon line is a line that goes horizontally, and it goes from one side all the way to the other. Outside a horizon line is where the sky comes down, and the sky stops. It stops where the earth starts. And if you've ever seen a sun come up or a sun set, if you've seen the sun disappear, you have seen the sun go below the horizon. It's a really cool thing to watch. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend you watch. It does happen pretty quickly though, okay? So I'm going to draw my horizon line, and I'm going to hold my paper horizontally, going side to side. So my horizon line is going to start here on the side of my paper. And a horizon line does not have to be straight. Think like you're outside. Maybe it's bumpy like treetops. Maybe it's curvy like a mountain. Maybe it's soft like a couple of rolling hills. Maybe it's the tops of buildings, like the shape of a city or something like that. Weather happens everywhere, okay? Maybe it's like your neighborhood or the top of your house with a little fence and a tree. So here I go. I think I'm going to start with my horizon line. I want to press really hard with my crayon because I want to see that horizon line. And I also want to see the crayon. There. Okay. So I made my horizon line. A horizon line starts on one side of the paper and it goes all the way to the other side. I bet you can tell my horizon line is some hills, maybe a little tiny house sitting in the shadows, okay? Now the weather is going to happen. It's going to happen all over the place. I'm going to take a white crayon and I'm going to put some clouds in the sky. Weather oftentimes has clouds, and white crayon on a white paper, you say, huh? I'm going to also color it in. You can see a white crayon on a white paper if you look really closely. Don't forget to press hard. This is very important when you're using crayon and watercolor paint, that you grab a hold of that crayon tight and you press hard. You might feel yourself sweating a little. Okay, So if I hold it up, you can kind of see where the clouds are. You can see them in the reflection of the light. You see that? So there's two clouds. From here, it's kind of harder to see them, right? If I turn around, I could sort of see them by myself. But if I tilt them, I could see them with the reflection and the help of the light. I think I want one more cloud. Now, I'm thinking weather. What kind of weather do I want for my weather work of art? I think I would like to have a little bit of rain, like a spring rain shower. An April shower. It is April after all, you know. And then I can use the crayons to make some rain, okay? If yours is like a super fast rain or a downpour or a thunderstorm, well, maybe you're going to have even more rain than I have. I'm just making little tiny dots for rain. Isn't it pretty? It's coming out of the clouds. And I could put a rainbow because rainbows happen. Maybe the sun is peeking through. You're going to use the crayons for all of these very important details. Okay. And the paint is going to create the color of the background. What color is the sky when it's raining? Could be gray. Could be dark blue. It could even be like dark gray. It could be blue on one side and then gray on the other side. So why do we need a bigger paintbrush? Well, we're going to do something called a wash. And a wash is a very easy way to add paint to a picture. And we just drew some rain and we drew a horizon. And I'm going to paint the sky above this black line, above the horizon. The sky goes up here. And then down here, I'm going to paint the color of the ground in my house. I could use a crayon to make my house if I wanted to. And whatever I did with the crayon, I would want to make sure I colored it in too. So maybe this house will be dark in the shadows and I'll color it black. You can't really see the details of that house. Is that okay? Sure, it's your picture. You can make it any way you want to. Maybe I'll even put a little chimney on the house. You can always add things to your picture as you go. But when you start painting, it's harder to add things. So you want to do that before you start painting, okay? And here I go. I'm going to dip, drip, wipe the tip. And I'm going to paint the sky first with just water. Yep. I'm just putting water on my paper. And I have to put a lot of it. But when I get to the horizon, I have to be very careful. I'm going to bring it closer so you can see how careful I have to be. Are you ready? I'm going to paint water along the horizon. I can paint right over the crayon. Doesn't even matter. And I'm putting water where the sky is. And I'm just spreading it. Okay, there I go. I got water across the whole sky. And you can actually see that it's shiny where I put water. So you can check for that too. I did not put water below the horizon. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the hula. Do the hula. We learned about this in school, doing the hula so that we can take good care of our watercolor paint. I think I'm going to make my sky kind of like a bluish purple. I'm going to take the paint that's on my brush and just touch it. And paint right over the water. Let's see what happens when I go over the crayon. Did you see that? Wow, the crayon just knocked the paint right off. Look, I'm going to get a little more paint. And here I go. Did you see that? Whoa, that was so cool. And the watercolor paint doesn't really like the crayon. The crayon pushed it right off. Look at that. Those clouds are still white. Now, this is kind of, like I said, it's an April shower, so it's not a big crazy storm. There's not a lot going on. It's kind of a quiet scene, but your weather picture can have anything you want. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and dip, drip, wipe the tip. Drip, wipe the tip. And I think I might add a couple more colors and set you back over here so you can see my whole picture. Okay, here I go. I think maybe I will put a little bit of this lighter blue and do the hula. And then go ahead and just finish painting your sky. Because you added water to the paper, watercolor paint is super easy to spread while the paper is nice and wet. But you have to be careful because you don't want to pick up your paper right now. All this beautiful wash will swoosh into your ground below the horizon and it will get ruined. Okay, so let me just bring this closer one more time so you can see all the beautiful colors that are in my sky. And that's so soft and it's so smooth because I washed it, okay? And then the last part would be to do the same thing on the ground and just go ahead and do a quick wash for the ground, whatever color you want. Just a little bit of water, dip, drip, wipe the tip. Be careful, though, that you don't go past that horizon line. Even the tiniest bit of water that goes past your horizon line will mix into your sky. And your sky will go down into your ground, and then we don't want that to happen. So when these are all dry, and they don't take long to dry, I'd love for you to send me a picture so I can see your weather painting. So remember to start with crayon first, and then do your watercolor wash. A wash can be many different colors. And it's so easy to spread it because you made your paper wet first. Go super careful near your horizon so that this does not go in the sky. I think I want it to be a little darker so I can always get a little more paint. This paintbrush Mrs. Vining is using is not a tiny brush, so it's making my life much easier. If you have a tiny brush, just get a little water and it'll help you spread it out. I think I have one more spot left to paint and I'm good to go. Well, you know, can I add other colors to green to make green grass? Sure. Look, this wasn't spreading, so I'm just going to get a little water to help me spread it. Watercolors love water and they love to be spread to create a wash. And here is my finished weather picture. A little bit of rain on an April day. Have a great time watercolor painting a weather scene, and I'll see you later. Bye.